Welcome to brain hack number 3 in this series. Just to remind you, I'm only able to fit in an incy-wincy tiny little bit of information about this super cool topic into these videos. I just want to give you an opportunity to try out these things. But in this hack, we're going to be focusing on how we can use our visual system to increase our mobility. I do actually have a whole workshop on it where I spend a full 2 hours going more in depth. So check that out if you want to learn a little bit more about this. And also don't forget to get the PDF that I've put together for you that also has more information on this topic. Like all the other hacks that I'm sharing with you in this series, these are things that are super easy but also super effective to do that don't require any level of experience or athleticism or anything like that. So we'll get started sitting on our bum facing the front of the mat, and like always, just take a moment to settle in and come into yourself. Take a few deep breaths, nice and slow, soothing nasal breaths. And just give yourself a moment to check in and maybe make a little mental note of all of the ways that you are in control of this situation, and therefore all of the ways that you feel safe. Very, very important while we're working with our neurological systems. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. We're going to start with everybody's favorite boat pose. So just to test how everything's feeling. So you can have the knees bent, you can even hold onto the legs, but this is really just a test to see like how much you're challenged. If you feel like you're even okay, like with your legs straight, bring your arms up overhead. So we're going into flexion through the shoulders as well as the hips. Oh, and I'm shaking now. So I have reached the end of what I'm capable of in an easy way. So then come into just a staff pose, Dandasana kind of position. Sit up nice and tall. Bring your thumb, whichever one, it doesn't matter, right out in front of you and focus on your thumb and hold your focus with your eyes on your thumb as you bend your elbow and bring your thumb towards your nose. So only bring your thumb as close as you can while you're able to focus on it. If your thumb becomes 2 thumbs, then you've gone too far. Just hold on to it, really exercising the eye muscles. Okay, so just like you just exercised your abs, now you're exercising your eye muscles. Close the eyes, extend the thumb away from you once again, and open. We'll repeat that 2 more times. So make sure you're breathing nice and steadily and smoothly. You can even change your position if you need to with your legs or whatever. Hold your gaze on your thumb. If it gets too much, if your eyes start hurting or you feel you've got a headache or something, just take it back. Just like you would with any other muscle, just decrease the range of motion or decrease the amount of time spent in that stretch. Close your eyes. One more time, extend the thumb away from you. Open your eyes and bring it back towards your nose. There's so many things that we can do with our visual system. This is like not even the tip of the iceberg, what I'm going to share in this video. This is like an ice cube on the tip of the iceberg. All right, but hopefully even just this alone is going to help you notice a difference. So having done that, let's retest our boat pose. So the muscles that bring the eyes together, that's called convergence. They are connected in the brain in the same place as the muscles that allow us to do a boat pose. So just, see if that made any difference. And remember, sometimes it won't. Sometimes it's not going to make a difference at all. All right. Another thing that we can test, so come out of that boat pose when you're ready and just notice. It's just, okay, that helped or it didn't help or whatever, and then we move on. Just notice what works for you. We'll find our forward fold. So it's not just about the strengthening poses like a boat pose, but also things like Paschimottanasana. So notice, how things are feeling in your seated forward fold. And I always like to have, 5% activation, so just the tiniest, gentlest little pressing down of the heels into the floor. Then again, we can do our little eyeball push-ups. All right, we're gonna do it slightly differently this time and have the thumb down below us. So you're not just bringing your eyes to a cross-eyed position, but also looking down. So resist the temptation to bring your chin towards your chest. It's about using your eye muscles, the muscles in the eyes that actually pull the eyeballs down to look down. You're breathing, release that, same as before, extend the thumb straight, open your eyes back up, find focus on the thumb and bring it towards you, but also looking down. So convergence, the muscles that bring the eyeballs together, towards each other, and looking down. They live in the same part of the brain as the muscles that create flexion. Okay, if you were to flex all the muscles in your body, and I'm repeating, I'm doing my final push-up, you can do it with me, then it would look a little bit something like a child's pose kind of position, but with your arms over your head, like you're protecting your head from the sky falling. Okay, so it's a very protective kind of position. So anything that gets you into that position, all of those, that can be facilitated by bringing our eyes together and looking down. So again, once we've done that, you can retest your Paschimottanasana. And just notice if anything that maybe was holding you back there feels a little bit less resistant. All right, you can even add these movements here in your Paschimottanasana, especially since we're kind of combining movements, like we're flexing through the hips, but we're extending through the neck if we're looking forwards. And so building these brain maps of different positions can be helpful. So come into a Baddha Konasana now and bring yourself just to the point where you're starting to get a little bit of stretch, a little bit of resistance, just the sort of beginning of the edge of your comfort zone. And this time we're going to take a thumb, I'm going to use my left thumb, change it up a bit, and focus on our thumb as we bring the gaze up. So again, resist the temptation to let your head move up, your chin move away from your chest. Try and hold a neutral position through the neck and let your eyeballs do the work. Now you can hold it here, or what we'll add on is just taking the thumb side to side. Okay, you could also even release the thumb and look at something far away, just using your eye muscles to focus, looking up, maybe taking the eyes side to side. But I also like to use my thumb. Just gives me like a nice steady thing to focus on. And then notice if that allows you to go a little bit further. So just like looking down and in helps with flexion, this external rotation that we're doing and the abduction through the hips, that's facilitated by looking up and looking far away. So notice if that made any difference. Also, extension is facilitated by looking up. So roll onto your back, place the feet flat, and we'll move into a little glute bridge. So press the low back into the mat, bring your awareness to the muscles right around your sit bones, maybe even touch and just poke there and make sure you kind of know what you're working on, and lift up through that part of your bum. So trying to keep that posterior tilt of the pelvis. The glutes are active. Maybe dig the heels down so you get the hamstrings working as well. And just notice how far you can get pulling the ribs in. So really making this just about hip extension. Okay, so we're testing. And then lower the hips back down. Bring one arm overhead without looking up. So keep your chin close to your chest, but just use your eyes looking up. And maybe you hold your gaze up as you lift up the hips once again, and just notice if the position of your eyes has helped the position of your hips. Now if you like, maybe your arms are down by your side to support you. Kind of wiggle your feet in a little bit closer towards each other. You can shift your weight into the left foot, reach the right leg up, and keep looking up, but look over to the left. So up and left. So looking left facilitates left side extension and right side flexion. If this feels like it's just so complicated, remember it's all in the PDF. Lower the right leg down, still looking up, bring your eyes neutral. Shift your weight to the right leg, lift the left leg, and look over to the right now, still looking up. And just notice if that helps at all. Maybe you're like, wow, this is way easier than normal. All right, lower the left leg down, release the eyes, release the hips down, hug your knees into your chest, get a little roll, and roll up to a squat. Bring your arms in front of you. So we've been working on our visual system, and the visual system sits at the top of the neural hierarchy of systems that your brain uses to understand the world around you. So eyes are number one, but the eyes work very, very closely with the inner ear, and the fancy word for that is the vestibular system. That's where you get your balance. So we're gonna bring in the vestibular system now. So in your squat, with your arms down in front of you, start to lift your hips up a little bit, bend the elbows, bring the knees to the backs of the elbows, and move as if you're going towards a crow pose. And maybe, wherever you are with your crow pose practice, find kind of where you start to struggle. So maybe it's just holding it for longer than a couple of breaths, or, if you're like, I could sleep in crow pose, maybe what your test is going to be is jumping to crow from down dog, lowering to crow from handstand, whatever it is, something that you're working on, give it a little try, see where you're at, and then when you're ready, we're going to add our vestibular drills to our crow pose position to see if it helps, all right? So, are you ready? Have you had a chance to test out that crow transition or just holding crow pose? All right, so what we're going to do, knees to the backs of the elbows, start to lean forward, keep your feet down on the floor though, and find a point on your yoga mat. It's one reason I love these Lifeform mats with the designs on it. It gives me something to stare at, something really pretty to stare at. And without moving your eyes from that point, you're gonna shake your head no. And it's really quick. So imagine there's some like good beats going on, some good music, and you're shaking your head no. So very swift but small movements, about a second apart. As you breathe and hold this position. All right, then come out of that, blink your eyes, just make sure you're kind of like with it and you're not too dizzy or anything. But when you're ready, we're gonna retest. So again, try that crow pose and notice if you feel more stable, okay? I know I certainly do. I just felt like I could go up to a handstand. Okay, cool. So let's move on. Step the left foot back, lower the knee down, back into our Anjanayasana. So we've been adding this one into all of our poses, all of the videos in this series. So come to the point that we've been working on with the heel to the butt, the hips, the pelvis neutral as possible. And if you can, hold that leg up on its own, or maybe reach back with the right hand, because we're going to use our left thumb out in front. So find the focus of the thumb with your eyes. Hold on to that. Don't let your head move as you just bring your thumb over to the left. Now, if you can see your thumb with just one eye and the bridge of your nose is getting in the way, then you've gone too far. I want you to make sure you can see your thumb with both eyes. Okay, then close your eyes, bring your thumb back to center, 2 more like that. We're breathing. Just bring it over to the left. Check that you're not letting your chin move. All right, close the eyes, reset. You may even like to put one finger on your chin and the other on your chest, just to make sure that your head isn't tempted to move. But this is how it works, see? The reason that your head wants to move is because those 2 movements go together in your brain. When you look to the left, your head turns to the left, your body does all sorts of other things that involve moving to the left, and that is why it also can help with hip extension on the left side and hip flexion on the right side. So just notice if now your Anjanayasana feels a little bit easier, or maybe you're going a little bit deeper, all right? Half Hanuman, same thing. You can add just looking over to the left, or if you want to add on a little bit more, and we're doing a lot here. This is a lot of visual stuff for one practice. You don't need to do all of these in every single pose that you do, It's just some ideas, okay? So maybe you add that into your half Hanuman, see if that helps. Going into a full Hanuman, maybe you're working on oversplits, and so you want to add these visual drills, looking over to the left to help with your right split. All right, so come on out of that when you're ready. Lower the hands down, tuck the left toes under, and just hop the left foot forward back into your squat position. So you're, of course, welcome to do what we did last time and work on that crow pose, but we're going to play around with using our eyes to help us twist. So we've been looking to the left, so let's keep that going. So first, before you do anything with your eyes, lower your hands down to the left side of you as if you're going to go into your side crow. So once you're there, hold it, establish a smooth, steady breath, but then without using your head to turn, look over to the left and just hold that. Focus on something over to the left side of you. Hopefully it's something nice that makes you smile. And see if that is helping you now actually twist a little bit deeper. I actually had to adjust what I looked at. Maybe my head is turning, but I feel like I'm twisting deeper. And then, if you like, you can play around with a little side crow or a variation, because hopefully you found a deeper twist. All right, so I'm going to move on. You're, of course, welcome to pause the video if you want to keep working on that, but we'll just try that on the other side. So set it up, lower the hands down, and then try and resist letting the head turn to the right. This time, we're going to just bring our eyeballs over to the right and hold here, breathe. And remember, you want to focus. Your eye muscles are muscles like any others. And so if you're just kind of like passively staring off into space, it's not quite the same as really, really focusing on something. Maybe looking at something far away and then moving your focus to something closer. So your eye muscles are working here, looking over to the right. Just see if that helps you get a little bit deeper into this twist, because looking to the right helps us twist to the right. And when you're ready, if you want to play around with an arm balance there, it's your practice. You do what you want to do. All right, so cool, huh? You ready to move on? Let's do the left leg. So lift the hips up, step the right foot to the back of the mat, lower the knee down, and find your Anjanayasana. Remember, try and find a neutral pelvis as much as possible. And we'll try adding on what we've been doing in our previous videos. So maybe you're adding like a little ankle mobility thing here, stretching out through the ankles already. You're like, oh, I love that one. It really worked for me, but let's see if using the visual system will help as well. So right thumb this time over to the right. Breathing, holding, and you can repeat that. Okay, and you can also play around with maybe looking up and to the right, or down and to the right. Maybe bring the thumb up and down as you look to the right. There's loads of different things, okay, and each one can be kind of, you could test and then retest with all of these different things if you're going to be really scientific with it, but I just like to play. All right, so you can do the same with your half Hanumanasana. And another thing that you can play around with is also adding your head movement in. So instead of moving an object and following that object with your eyes, you keep your eyes on the object and just move the head. All right, so maybe you try, if that helps your full Hanumanasana. It really has helped me. I struggled ever since I was a child doing gymnastics to do Hanumanasana on my left leg. I added these vision drills in, and now here I am. So I hope it works for you too. Remember, these things, like anything, you know, it helps the more you do it, but you can see instant results. All right, so lower the hands down, lift the back leg up, hop it forward, rise up, stretch up, just give everything a nice good stretch, nice good reset. Take one more inhale, and as you exhale, fold down into a standing forward fold. Maybe you have your gaze at your nose to help you here in your standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands, step back to your plank, take an inhale, squeeze those glutes, and exhale, lower all the way down. Bring your arms down by your side. Keep the toes tucked under though, and we're gonna externally rotate through the arms. So imagine that you bring the palms flat and then keep rotating them to point out wide. And with the toes tucked under, we're extending and externally rotating, and a little bit of abduction as well through the whole body. And just notice where you are. Maybe you're already kind of naturally looking up, but if not, now bring your gaze to look up. And notice if that helps you. I can feel my legs lifting higher now that I'm looking up. It's madness. It's like voodoo or something, but it's not actually. It's just neurology. Good. Release that down. Lower the hands, tuck the toes. One final pose, downward facing dog. Really try and open up through the shoulders. So this is flexion through the shoulders. We're flexing through the hips. So do you remember what happens when we're looking for flexion? It's the same as our boat pose. We can look down or we can look in, crossing our eyes, or maybe we do both. So again, perhaps notice if looking towards your nose. This isn't even original. The Ashtangis do this, I believe. The old yogis, they knew what they were doing in a lot of ways, I think. So notice if that helps you with your downward facing dog. All right. Finally, bend the knees, look forward, and breathe here. And what I want you to do one last time is with your gaze just kind of around your hands, give me a nod up and down. So again, we're bringing our vestibular system into this. Really press up through the shoulders, stay engaged through the shoulders, pull the ribs in. So we're kind of helping to map out our brain's map of our body in this position. Same kind of vestibular drill, we're just nodding yes instead of nodding no. All right, then when you're ready, see if that helps you as you jump your feet up to the front of the mat and lower down into a squat, back down onto your bum. And if you liked it, you can do it again because we're right back where we started. Thank you for joining me though. And do please check out the resources that I've got. It's all linked in the description. I'd love to see you join me over on Move with Adell. I'm always adding these kind of visual and vestibular drills into poses that help you get to your goals faster. So if you don't want to think about it, if you just want somebody to tell you, like, which drill should I do for this thing, then I'm your girl. I'd love to see you over at Move with Adell. Thanks again for joining. See you again.